Hello, so this is video 2 on Bandlab, which is looking at how we add additional layers to a track that you've already got. So you're putting in a bass layer or a drum layer or even a vocal layer, and this is where this bit of software is going to start creating some problems for us because, well, it's free. So I'm going to focus back in on that screen and I'm going to show you what I'm going to try to do. So where we left it last time was we've got our 4 most boring chords in the world recorded in, and they sound a little bit like this. Now I played that pretty much spot on in time, and my timing's not bad when it comes to playing in time with the click. But if I put the click on, the click seems slightly ahead of my piano playing, and I definitely didn't play it that badly. But there was definitely a delay between the sound of the piano and the click, and that wasn't there when I recorded it in. The only explanation I've got for that is, well, there were two things. One, it's dragging the audio back from wherever it stored it online, and there's what's known as latency there. Or what is more likely is that it's got latency between the audio file and it coming through the sound card of the computer, which is a typical issue of latency with computer generated music. If you're using a Mac, you don't actually get that much of a problem. PCs suffer from latency particularly badly. So my issue now is that I've now got to just abandon the click because the piano is not in time with the click and it's driving me up the wall. So I'm going to abandon the click. To record in my bass part, I've got a bass sound queued up on here. So I can just play along. If I reset the song marker back to the beginning, make sure this is looking at beats and measures. So I'm on bar 1, beat 1, press play and try and play along. And then you make a mistake, so you go back and do it again because you're just trying stuff out. Once you're happy with what you're going to record, add yourself a track over here on the left, add yourself another voice mic because you are capturing the sound of whatever's in the room. In this case it's a keyboard doing a bass sound. If you want to check that your level's okay, click on that little picture of a microphone on the left hand side and it tells you what sort of level you've got going on. Hopefully you haven't moved the level from your microphone adjustment that you did yesterday. So reset your song marker. This time don't have the click enabled because you don't want to hear it, you want to just run to the rhythm of this piano part. So I'm going to try and play bang in time with that piano part. It will give me an 8-beat click to start. 1, 2, 3, go. So I allowed that to run through twice to give myself a bit of variation in a second time round. Again, you can crop that back using this little icon here. Left click on that, drag it left. Go on, you can do it. Drag left and crop it to exactly the end of bar 8, beginning of bar 9. Now here is where I feel we're going to have some issues because almost all the time I was pretty much in time with the piano part. And I'm a little bit worried as to whether or not the latency that's inbuilt into this bit of software or into the audio processing on the computer is going to be able to process that in the time that I played it in. We'll soon find out. We have major problems. First major problem is the sound of the piano was coming through the speakers, so it was picked up by that microphone on the computer. The second major problem is the latency has now become utterly ridiculous between the sound that I put in and the speed at which it recorded it. So I'm going to try and do something about that, but I fear this is going to be about as far as this bit of software is going to go. So I'm going to delete that, I'm going to reset to the beginning, I'm going to put my earphones in so I can hear the piano part, I'm going to mute the monitor, we can still hear that, press record, I can hear the click in my earphones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, I put some extra fills and things in the second version to see what it sounds like. The only thing you would have heard at that point was the sound of that bass. I'm going to crop it back so that it's at the right level. I'm going to take that off mute, and I'm going to be somewhat concerned that even though I'm fairly sure I played it inaccurately, I fear that it will not play it back accurately. My playing was not that bad, but the latency in the computer, or the latency in the software, isn't allowing that to play in time. Which is why, as I said on the previous video, you're not going to use this for any sort of final recording of your coursework. You are only going to use it to layer up ideas, to give yourself a basic idea as to how it works, because I don't know about you, but I find that unbelievably frustrating that even though I played it in time, it's not coming back and performing it back in time. So if you can cope with it, by all means continue to layer up stuff with it. If you can't cope with it, you'll have to buy a Mac and use GarageBand, or I'm going to look for some alternatives. So that's as far as I'm going with Bandlab.